Emma stood in front of the full-length mirror, her reflection a blend of anticipation and nervousness. The soft, delicate lace of her wedding gown shimmered under the lights, the intricate beading catching her eye every time she moved. She ran a hand over the fabric, trying to suppress the bubbling excitement inside her. Today was the day she would marry William, the man she had dreamed of marrying since high school, the man she thought she knew, the man she trusted with her heart. The room smelled of fresh roses and lavender, the scent from the bouquets that lined the walls. Her mother, Caroline, bustled around the room, arranging the flowers, making sure everything was perfect. Caroline was the epitome of elegance, even in her simple dress, which complemented Emma's gown perfectly. The older woman's voice rang out with a blend of control and care. "You look beautiful, darling," Caroline said, stepping behind her daughter and adjusting the veil. "Just perfect." Emma smiled at her mother's reflection in the mirror. "Thanks, Mom. I can't believe it's finally here." Her voice trembled slightly. Between the excitement she was trying to mask, Caroline looked at her, a soft smile on her lips. "I know, sweetheart, but you need to remember that this is just the beginning. Your life with William is about to start, and it's going to be wonderful." A sudden knock on the door interrupted their moment. "Emma," Olivia's voice floated in from the other side. "It's time for the photographs." Olivia, Emma's older sister, had always been a pillar of confidence in their family. She had a way of controlling any room she walked into, always with a smile that could charm even the most difficult of people. But as Emma opened the door, she couldn't help but notice the stiffness in Olivia's posture. Olivia's eyes swept over Emma, taking in the gown, the veil, the whole image of her little sister dressed as a bride. "You look incredible, Emma," she said. But the praise sounded rehearsed, as if it was something she had to say, not something she truly felt. Emma forced a smile. "Thanks, Liv." She didn't know why, but something about Olivia's tone made her uneasy. It was almost as if Olivia wasn't entirely thrilled about Emma's wedding. "Well, we should hurry. William is getting impatient," Olivia added, her gaze flickering briefly to the floor, then back up at Emma. The photographers waiting. As Emma stepped out of the room, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She caught a glimpse of her reflection in the hallway mirror and paused for a moment, trying to calm the fluttering nerves in her chest. What could possibly go wrong? She wondered, taking a deep breath. It was just pre-wedding jitters. Downstairs, the guests were already gathering, filling the grand hall with laughter and chatter. The soft strains of a classical string quartet filled the air as Emma walked into the room, her eyes immediately seeking out William. He stood near the front of the room, looking every bit the charming groom she had fallen in love with. William was tall and broad-shouldered, his dark hair neatly combed, his smile as warm as ever. He caught sight of her and immediately walked over, his eyes lighting up with pride. "You look stunning," he whispered, his voice low and full of admiration. Emma smiled, her heart fluttering in her chest. "I was just thinking the same thing about you." She reached up to adjust his tie, a playful grin on her face. He chuckled, taking her hand gently, ready to make this official. Emma's smile softened, her gaze lingering on his face. "Ready," she whispered, the word full of promise. But as they turned toward the photographer for their first set of pictures, Emma noticed a strange tension in the air. It wasn't obvious, but it was there like a subtle undercurrent, threading through the gathering. Emma's eyes instinctively flickered to Olivia, who was chatting with one of their cousins near the back of the room. Olivia had a way of drawing attention wherever she went, but today, Emma couldn't help but notice the way Olivia's eyes lingered on William for just a second too long. A strange knot formed in Emma's stomach. "It's just nerves," she told herself. "It's just the pressure of the day." But despite her attempts to brush it off, she couldn't ignore the unease creeping over her. After the photo session, Emma and William made their way to the reception hall, where the guests were seated at long tables, sipping champagne and mingling. The lights were soft, casting a romantic glow over the room. Everywhere she looked, people were congratulating them, offering their best wishes. But the closer they got to the center of the room, the more Emma noticed the slight shifts in her family's behavior. Whispers, forced smiles, uneasy glances exchanged between Olivia and William. William seemed oblivious to it all, chatting animatedly with friends from college, while Emma's attention kept drifting back to her sister. Olivia's gaze was sharp, her expression unreadable. Emma felt a flicker of discomfort settle in her chest. The night progressed, and Emma's anxiety only grew. She had expected to be swept up in the excitement, to lose herself in the joy of her new life with William. But instead, she felt an increasing sense of isolation, as if the walls around her were closing in. "Emma," William called, pulling her back into the present moment. He gently placed his head on her arm, his voice filled with concern. "Are you all right? You've been distant all night." She blinked, trying to shake off the feeling. "I'm fine," she said quickly, smiling at him. Just a little tired, I think." But deep down, she knew it wasn't just fatigue that was making her feel this way. There was something wrong, something she couldn't quite place. But her instincts were telling her that the joy of this day was built on shaky ground, and no matter how hard she tried to ignore it, The feeling gnawed at her. As the night drew on, Emma caught sight of Olivia once again, standing by the bar, her laughter too loud, her posture too relaxed for someone who had just witnessed her little sister's wedding. And then, Emma saw it the way Olivia looked at William, the warmth in her eyes, the connection. A chill ran down Emma's spine. No, she thought, it can't be. But the doubt had already begun to take root. She couldn't ignore it any longer. Something was wrong, something between them. As the night continued and the music played, Emma's once perfect world began to feel more like a carefully constructed illusion. And deep down, she couldn't help but wonder, was she about to step into a future she wasn't prepared for? The morning after the wedding dawned with a soft, golden light filtering through the curtains of Emma's hotel room. It was supposed to be the beginning of their honeymoon, the start of a blissful new chapter in her life. Yet, as Emma lay in the large, empty bed, the silence in the room felt more oppressive than peaceful. William had already left for a quick business meeting, an excuse he had given the night before, but something about it felt off. Emma stretched and glanced at her phone, a faint unease stirring in her chest as she saw multiple missed calls and text messages from Olivia. Olivia, we need to talk. The message was brief, but the tone unsettled Emma. It wasn't like her sister to send such an urgent message, especially after the wedding. Olivia had always been the composed one, the one who kept everything under control. Emma tried to shake off the feeling gnawing at her, telling herself it was just the lingering effects of the emotional roller coaster the day before. It's just the stress of the wedding, she thought. It will pass. She got out of bed, dressed in a simple white robe, and went to the window. The city below was bustling with life, oblivious to the storm brewing in her own life. She needed to focus, to push the doubts away and enjoy her first day as a married woman. But when she arrived downstairs for breakfast, her mother, Caroline, was waiting for her with a solemn expression, her hands clasped tightly around a mug of tea. Caroline was sitting at the kitchen island, the soft hum of the morning news filling the silence between them. "Good morning, sweetheart," Caroline said, her voice unusually quiet, as though she was carefully choosing her words. Emma forced a smile and sat down opposite her mother. "Morning, Mom. Where's William?" Caroline's gaze flickered away briefly, as though avoiding the question. He had some last-minute work things to take care of. "He'll be back soon." Emma raised an eyebrow. "He didn't mention anything about work last night." Caroline's eyes softened with concern, her voice gentle. "He's probably just busy. Darling, you know how it is with these things." Emma nodded, but there was a lingering doubt in her mind. Something isn't right. She had no reason to doubt William, but her mother's unusual response only deepened her unease. The front door opened, and Emma's heart jumped as Olivia walked in. She looked different today, tired, with dark circles under her eyes, her usual polished appearance replaced with something more disheveled. She was wearing a pair of jeans and a plain t-shirt, a far cry from the elegant dress she wore the day before. "Hey, Em," Olivia said, forcing a smile as she sat down beside her. "How are you holding up?" Emma could sense the tension in her sister's voice, the false cheer in her tone. "I'm fine, just a little tired, I guess." "What's going on, Liv?" Olivia hesitated for a moment before speaking. "We need to talk. It's about William." The words hit Emma like a punch to the gut. She looked at her sister, her face paling slightly. "What about William?" Her voice came out softer than she intended, as if she was afraid of hearing the answer. Olivia leaned in slightly, her eyes shifting between Emma and Caroline. I don't want to ruin your day, Emma, but there's something you need to know. Something I should have told you yesterday, but I didn't know how." Caroline looked up sharply, her expression darkening. "Olivia, this isn't the time or place. Your sister just got married." "I know, Mom," Olivia interrupted, her voice trembling, "but it can't wait. You deserve to know the truth." Emma's heart raced in her chest as she stared at her sister. "Olivia, you're scaring me. What are you talking about?" Olivia swallowed hard, her lips trembling. "I didn't want to say anything because I know how much you love him, but I can't keep this from you. William and I." She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. Emma's mind was spinning, trying to make sense of what she was hearing. What do you mean, William and I? You're not making any sense." Her sister's voice cracked as she finally spoke, the weight of her confession hanging heavy in the air. We've been seeing each other for a while now, Emma." The world around Emma seemed to slow as she processed the words. She felt like the floor had dropped out from under her, her breath catching in her throat. "No," her mind screamed. "This can't be true." What are you saying?" she whispered, barely able to comprehend what was happening. Olivia's eyes welled with tears. "I'm so sorry, Emma. I never meant to hurt you, but I couldn't keep lying to you any longer. William and I." She stopped herself, shaking her head as if the words themselves were too painful to say. Emma stood up abruptly, her knees weak. She stumbled toward the door, needing air, needing space to think. "No, this isn't real. This isn't happening. You're lying. You must be lying." Her mother's voice followed her as she made her way outside. "Emma, wait." But Emma couldn't stop. She couldn't process what was happening, couldn't accept the betrayal her sister had just confessed to. The man she had married, the one she trusted more than anyone in the world, had been with her sister, behind her back. she stumbled through the hotel's quiet courtyard, the cold air hitting her face like a slap. Her heart pounded in her chest, and she gasped for breath as her emotions threatened to overflow. How could he do this to me? She thought. How could Olivia do this to me? Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she sank to the bench near the garden, her body trembling with a mixture of rage and disbelief. She had always trusted William, always believed in their love, and now everything was shattered. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think straight. All she could do was sit there, consumed by the overwhelming sense of betrayal. The sound of footsteps reached her ears, and she turned to see William walking toward her, his expression neutral, almost too calm. He had a briefcase in his hand, but there was no sign of urgency in his stride. "Emma," he said softly, his voice tinged with an emotion she couldn't place. "What's going on? I've been looking for you." Emma stood up slowly, her eyes narrowing as she wiped her tears away. "Don't pretend like you don't know," she said, her voice shaking. "I know everything, William, about you and Olivia." William's face went pale, and he opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. "You," Emma gasped. "You were sleeping with my sister, William." He ran a hand through his hair, his eyes darting away. I can't explain. Explain." Emma's voice was writhing now, the anger that had been simmering inside her boiling over. "There's nothing to explain. You betrayed me. Both of you did." William's shoulders slumped, and he stepped closer, but Emma stepped back, her hands raised. Just don't come near me." He stopped, standing a few feet away, looking utterly defeated. "Emma, I never wanted to hurt you. I love you." "No," Emma cut him off. "You don't love me. You never did." Tears blurred her vision as she turned away from him, running out of the courtyard, out of the hotel, and into the streets beyond. She needed to get away. She needed to breathe, to think, and for the first time in her life, Emma realized that everything she had believed in, everything she had trusted was a lie. Emma couldn't remember how long she had been wandering through the streets, lost in a fog of emotions. Her mind was reeling, and each step felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. The betrayal she had just discovered, her sister, Olivia, and her husband, William, seemed too twisted to be real. How could this happen? She kept asking herself. How could I have been so blind? The air was crisp with the first signs of autumn, and the sun, hidden behind a blanket of clouds, gave the city a gray, distant feel. Emma walked aimlessly, barely noticing the bustling crowds around her. The world had become a blur, muffled and distant, as if she were underwater. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest, and her thoughts kept circling back to one question: why had William done this? Why had Olivia betrayed her like this? As the hours passed, Emma found herself outside a small park, the trees bending under the weight of their leaves, already beginning to fall. She sat on a bench under one of those trees, the chill of the metal seeping through the thin fabric of her dress. Her hands were trembling, and she wrapped her arms around herself for comfort, trying to steady her breath. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, the screen lighting up with another message from Olivia. "Olivia, please. Emma, let me explain. I can't lose you." Emma stared at the message for a long moment. Her thumb hovered over the screen, a battle raging inside her. Explain. What could she possibly say? The wonder was too fresh, too deep. She couldn't know. She didn't want to hear Olivia's side of the story. The screen went dark, and Emma stuffed the phone back into her pocket, letting out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. A small, bitter laugh escaped her lips. "I can't lose you," Olivia had said. "What about me?" she thought. "What about what you did to me?" Her phone buzzed again, this time a call from her mother, Caroline. Emma stared at the screen for a moment before answering. "Hello, Emma." Caroline's voice came through, strained and hesitant. "Are you okay? I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk." Emma closed her eyes, the sound of her mother's voice only adding to the ache in her chest. "We need to talk." Those words had become a refrain in her life today, repeated by everyone. But the truth was, Emma wasn't sure she wanted to talk to anyone at all. No. "I'm fine, Mom," Emma lied, trying to steady her voice. I need some time alone. Emma, please," Caroline pleaded, her voice breaking. "Don't shut me out. You're my daughter, and I want to help. I know things are difficult right now, but I'm here for you." Emma's eyes filled with tears, but she wiped them away furiously, unwilling to let her mother see how fragile she felt. I don't know what to do anymore," she sighed, her voice cracking. "I can't believe it. Mom, I don't know who to trust." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Emma could hear Caroline sigh softly, a sound full of years of pain and understanding. "I know, sweetheart. I know it's hard, but you don't have to go through this alone. Let me help." "I don't want your help, Mom." The words escaped Emma before she could stop them. "I want things to go back to normal. I want to forget this ever happened." Caroline's voice softened. "Gentle now, sweetheart. I wish I could make it all go away for you, but you need to face this. For your own sake, you need to decide what you want. Do you want to try and fix things with William, or is it time to walk away?" The question hit Emma like a slap. Fix things with William? How could she even think about that after what he had done? But then, the doubt crept in. What if Olivia was wrong? What if it wasn't as bad as it seemed? Could she ever forgive them? Could she ever trust William again? "I don't know, Mom," she whispered. her voice heavy with uncertainty. I don't know if I can forgive him. I don't know if I can forgive either of them. Take your time, Caroline said softly. But you have to decide. You can't keep running away from this. Emma didn't answer. She didn't know what she could say. She needed to think, to clear her mind, to figure out what she was going to do next. With a quiet sigh, she entered the call and tucked her phone into her bag. She sat there for a while longer, letting the silence of the park wash over her. The trees whispered above her, their branches creaking in the wind. But Emma didn't hear them. She was lost in her thoughts, trapped in a whirlwind of emotions. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from William. William, Emma, I love you. Please give me a chance to explain. I know I'll hurt you, but this isn't what you think. I need you to trust me. Her heart skipped a beat at the words, I love you, he had said. The very words that had once made her feel safe, secure, now felt hollow and empty. How could he claim to love her after what he had done? After everything? Emma stared at the message, her mind racing. Trust him. How could she? As she sat there, lost in thought, she felt a presence beside her. She turned, her heart skipping in her chest as she saw William standing there, his eyes filled with pain and regret. Emma, he said quietly, his voice low. Can we talk? Emma stood up quickly, her eyes flashing with anger and disbelief. What are you doing here, William? She demanded, her voice sharp. I don't want to talk to you. Not now. Not ever. He reached out a hand, but Emma backed away, shaking her head. Don't touch me. Don't come any closer. Please, William said, his voice strained, almost pleading. I never meant for this to happen. I made a mistake, but I want to make it right. You're the only one I want. Emma, I swear to you, it's only ever been you. Emma felt a wave of nausea wash over her. His words felt empty, meaningless now. How could she believe anything he said? I don't want to hear it, she said, her voice cold. You're a liar, William. You betrayed me. And Olivia, she's just as bad. I don't know who either of you are anymore. Tears welled in her eyes as she turned away from him, her chest tight with grief. She needed to escape, to get away from the man who had torn apart her world. Emma, please, William called after her, his voice breaking. But Emma didn't stop. She couldn't. Not now. As she walked away, the pain in her chest felt unbearable, as though her heart was being torn apart. How could they do this to me? She thought as she disappeared into the crowd. How could I ever trust again? Emma sat alone in the dimly lit coffee shop, her hands wrapped around a warm mug of tea, though she barely noticed the heat radiating from it. The world outside was shifting, her world was shifting, and she was trying to hold on to some semblance of control. But no matter how tightly she grasped onto the edges, it all seemed to slip away. The betrayal still clung to her like an invisible weight, and every time she closed her eyes, she saw William and Olivia, their faces etched with lies. Her heart twisted painfully in her chest. The bell above the coffee shop door rang as it opened, and Emma's head snapped up. She had been expecting this moment, the moment when she would have to face the consequences of her decisions. Hi, came a familiar voice, tentative yet full of an underlying urgency. Emma turned to see her mother, Caroline, standing in the doorway, a hesitant smile on her face. Her mother had always been the kind to give off an air of composure, but right now, her eyes were filled with a quiet concern, a reflection of how much the situation had shaken her as well. Mom, Emma said, her voice hoarse, but she forced a small smile. She had expected Caroline to find her here. She had no other place to go. She had avoided her calls, but Emma knew it wasn't right to keep pushing her away. Caroline walked over and slid into the seat across from Emma, her expression softening. She reached out to take Emma's hand, her touch warm and grounding. How are you holding up, darling? She asked gently, her voice full of the kind of concern only a mother could express. Emma's eyes burned with the unshed tears she had been holding back all day. She swallowed hard, struggling to speak through the tightness in her throat. I don't know. I feel like I'm drowning, Mom. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to trust anymore. Caroline's hand tightened around hers, her gaze searching Emma's face for any sign of hope, for anything that might help her daughter find peace. You don't have to figure it all out right now, sweetheart, she said softly. You just need to take it one step at a time. But how do I even begin to take that first step? Emma's voice cracked with the weight of her emotions. How do I fix this? How do I fix me after everything that's happened? Caroline's gaze softened with understanding. You don't have to fix yourself, Emma. There's nothing wrong with you. What William and Olivia did to you is not your fault. Emma bit her lip, the sharp sting of the words taking her by surprise. I keep thinking I should have seen it. You know, she said quietly, her eyes distant. I should have known. I was too trusting, too naive. Sweetheart, Caroline said, her voice firm. You are not to blame for what happened. William and Olivia made choices. Those were their choices, not yours. Emma looked up at her mother, her face flushed with the hurt that had been building inside her for so long. But it feels like I should have seen it. Like I should have known better. I feel so stupid. Mom, how could I have been so blind? Caroline sighed, a deep, almost painful sound. She squeezed Emma's hand once more before pulling it away to wipe a stray tear from her daughter's cheek. You were in love, Emma. You wanted to believe the best in people. You wanted to believe that the people you trusted the most, your sister, your husband, would never hurt you. And that's not something to feel ashamed of. It's a part of being human. Emma's chest ached, the hollow space inside her growing wider. She wanted so badly to believe what her mother was saying, to hold on to the idea that it wasn't her fault. But the raw, unfiltered emotions kept pulling her back, tugging her toward the harsh reality. I don't know what to do with all this anger, Emma admitted, her voice trembling. I don't know how to get rid of it. Caroline leaned in closer, her voice soft and steady. You can't just get rid of it, sweetheart. It's going to take time, but you don't have to carry it alone. Let people in. Let me in. Before Emma could respond, her phone buzzed on the table, shattering the fragile calm between them. The name on the screen made her heart drop into her stomach. William. Emma stared at the phone, her hand trembling as she picked it up. Carol, I noticed the look on her face, her brows furrowing with concern. Are you going to answer it? She asked quietly. Emma shook her head, a bitter smile tugging at her lips. I don't know if I can. Caroline studied her for a moment before speaking again. Do you think it will make a difference? Answering him, will it help you move forward? Or will it keep you stuck in this place of pain? Emma swallowed, her heart pounding in her chest. She hadn't heard from William in days, and the thought of speaking to him, of hearing his voice, twisted something inside her. She hadn't decided what she wanted from him, but a small part of her, just a tiny, vulnerable part, wanted the answers. She wanted to hear him beg, to apologize, to explain how everything had gone wrong. She needed closure. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know what I need. Carol, I nodded understandingly, and then leaned back in her seat, giving Emma space. Then maybe it's time you stop worrying about what he needs, and start thinking about what you need. Emma looked at her mother, her gaze searching for any sign of certainty, for any way out of the maze of emotions she had found herself trapped in. What if I can't move on? What if I can't let go of what they've done to me? Caroline's eyes softened, and she reached over to touch her daughter's arm. You will, Emma. I know you will, but you have to choose to move forward, and that's something only you can do. The weight of her mother's words hung in the air between them. Emma felt the flicker of something, maybe hope, maybe resolve, beginning to stir within her. But she wasn't sure yet. She wasn't sure she was ready to face the truth. She wasn't sure she was strong enough to let go of the pain. Her phone buzzed again, and this time, Emma didn't hesitate. She glanced at the screen, her thumb hovering over the message. William. Emma, please. I know I've hurt you. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. Please, talk to me. Her fingers hovered over the screen. She wanted to respond. She wanted to scream at him, tell him how much he'd hurt her. But instead, she did nothing. She put the phone down and looked up at her mother, who was watching her carefully. Caroline gave her a small, encouraging smile. Emma felt the tears threaten to spill again. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Mom, she whispered. Caroline squeezed her hand. You'll figure it out. Just don't rush yourself. Take your time. Emma nodded, feeling a tear slide down her cheek as she looked out the window. The world outside continued to move on, indifferent to the turmoil inside her. And for the first time in days, she allowed herself to close her eyes and breathe, letting the smallest flicker of hope ignite in her heart. Maybe, just maybe, she could find a way to move forward. The sun had barely risen when Emma stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the simple white blouse she had chosen for the day. The quiet of the apartment seemed unnatural, almost unsettling, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. She glanced at her reflection, eyes tired and slightly puffy from the endless nights of crying, but she stood taller now, a little stronger. Her hand lingered on the cool metal of the vanity, her fingers tracing the edge, as though grounding herself in the moment. The past week had been a blur, each day feeling like an unending cycle of confusion and heartbreak. But today, something was different. Today, she would make a choice whether to forgive or to let go, whether to confront her past or to let it remain buried. She sighed, looking away from her reflection. The phone had been silent for 2 days. William had not reached out. At first, she had been relieved, thinking that perhaps it was his way of giving her space. But as the hours stretched into days, the silence became deafening, the unresolved tension gnawed at her, pulling her deeper into the confusion of it all. Suddenly, the phone buzzed on the counter, vibrating against the marble surface. Emma froze. The name on the screen sent a jolt of adrenaline through her veins. William. Her heart raced in her chest as she picked up the phone, her hand trembling slightly as she unlocked it. She stared at the message for a long moment, her mind fighting with her emotions. William, I need to talk to you. Please. I don't know what I can do to make it right, but I want to try. I've been thinking about everything, and I miss you, Emma. The words blurred in front of her as the weight of them pressed on her chest. She had expected this moment to come, had even prepared herself for it, but nothing could have prepared her for the ache that shot through her when she saw his words. She placed the phone down, her breath coming in shallow gasps. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in around her as memories of William flooded her mind. She could almost hear his voice, his laugh, the sound of him calling her name, the tenderness in his eyes. It felt impossible to believe that the man she had shared her life with was capable of such betrayal. Yet, the truth was undeniable, and the realization hit her with force that she still struggled to process. A knock at the door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Emma's heart skipped a beat, and she instinctively looked toward the door. She wasn't expecting anyone, but she knew who it was. There was only one person who could be knocking at her door this early. Taking a deep breath, she walked across the apartment and opened the door to reveal her best friend, Sarah, standing there with a concerned look on her face. Sarah had been by her side through everything, through the good, the bad, and all the painful in between, and today, she seemed to be carrying the weight of that concern on her shoulders. "Hey," Sarah said, her voice gentle yet full of an underlying urgency. "I thought we could talk. I know things have been tough, and I just wanted to check in on you." Emma smiled faintly, though the warmth didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm okay, really," she said, stepping aside to let Sarah in. "Just trying to figure things out." Sarah raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it, but she didn't push. Instead, she followed Emma into the living room, settling down on the couch with a sigh. "I've been thinking a lot about you and William, and about what happened with Olivia. I know it's not easy, but I just want to remind you that you don't have to go through this alone." Emma nodded, her fingers nervously picking at the edge of her blouse. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Sarah. He keeps reaching out to me, but I'm scared. I don't even know if I want to talk to him anymore. I don't know if I can forgive him." Sarah's eyes softened, and she leaned forward, her gaze steady. "It's okay to be scared. It's okay to not know what you want, but you can't let fear make the decision for you. You have to listen to what you need, not what everyone else thinks you need." Emma paused, the words sinking in slowly. She had been so focused on trying to fix things, to make sense of the chaos, that she hadn't stopped to ask herself what she truly needed. She was always trying to do what was best for everyone else, her family, her friends, even William. But when had she last listened to herself? "I don't know if I can ever trust him again," Emma whispered, her voice raw. "How do you forgive someone who has hurt you like this? How do you rebuild trust when it's been shattered?" Sarah took a deep breath, her expression thoughtful. "I can't answer that for you. Trust isn't something you can just rebuild overnight. But you have to ask yourself, do you want to? Do you want to rebuild that trust? Or is the damage too deep?" The question lingered in the air, and Emma felt the weight of it pressing down on her chest. She had spent so much time wondering if she could ever trust William again, but she had never stopped to ask herself if she even wanted to. She sat down beside Sarah, letting the silence stretch between them for a moment. The room felt heavy, filled with the unspoken words and the weight of the choices ahead. Finally, Emma looked at her friend. "I think I need to talk to him," she sighed, her voice quieter now. "I need answers, but I don't know if I can forgive him. I don't know if I'll ever be able to let go of the anger." Sarah nodded, her gaze understanding. "That's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. Just take it one step at a time. And whatever happens, I'm here for you, always." Emma smiled faintly, the first real smile she'd allowed herself in days. "Thank you, Sarah. I don't know what I'd do without you." "You don't have to do anything alone," Sarah replied softly. "I've got your back." As Sarah stood to leave, Emma felt a flicker of something inside her, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe it was hope, maybe it was a sense of agency, the realization that she could make choices that would define her future. Whatever it was a step forward, and that was all she needed for now. As Sarah walked out of the apartment, Emma took a deep breath and picked up her phone again. William's message was still there, the words weighing heavily in her hands. She stared at it for a long time, the conflict swirling in her chest. But for the first time in what felt like forever, Emma felt a sense of clarity. She didn't have to make a decision right now. She didn't have to forgive him today, or even tomorrow. But she would need to face him. She would need to find closure, one way or another. With that thought, she composed her reply. "Emma, we need to talk, but I'm not sure I'm ready to forgive you. I need time." She hit send, her fingers trembling, but a strange sense of peace washed over her. No matter what came next, she knew she was taking the first step toward finding herself again. The evening air was thick with tension as Emma stood outside the cafe, staring at the door in front of her. The bright lights inside seemed to mock her uncertainty, casting long shadows that stretched across the sidewalk. Her heart pounded in her chest as she clutched her bag tightly, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She had agreed to meet William here, at this quiet, almost forgotten spot that had once been their favorite cafe. It was a place where they had shared so many quiet moments, the kind that had once made her feel safe and loved. But now, standing here, it felt like a different world, a world where betrayal and confusion had clouded every corner of her existence. She wasn't sure what to expect when she saw him again. Part of her wanted to walk away, to turn her back on it all. But the other part of her, the part that had loved him deeply, needed answers. She needed to hear his side of the story, even though she wasn't sure if she was ready to believe it. A car pulled up beside her, and her breath caught in her throat. William stepped out, his face etched with tension, his dark eyes scanning the street as if searching for something. He wore the same jacket he had worn the day they had first met, the one that she had always thought made him look irresistible. But now, that jacket only served as a reminder of the past, a past she wasn't sure she could ever return to. He looked at her and froze. For a moment, neither of them moved. Both caught in the weight of the moment. The air between them crackled, thick with the things they both wanted to say, but neither knew how. Emma, William finally said, his voice low and tentative. I didn't think you'd come. I wasn't sure I would either, she replied, her voice steady but soft. But here we are. He nodded, his eyes falling to the ground. I know you probably hate me right now, and I don't blame you for that. But I need you to understand that everything that happened with Olivia, it wasn't what it seemed. Emma took a deep breath, her hands gripping her back even tighter. Then tell me, William, tell me what it was. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration and guilt written all over his face. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I never meant to hurt you, but when Olivia showed up, I was confused. She reminded me of things I thought I had buried, things that I didn't even realize were still there. Emma's heart twisted in her chest, the pain of his words slicing through her. The way he spoke about Olivia, it wasn't just guilt or regret. There was something deeper there, something she couldn't ignore. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a choice. So, you're telling me that it was all about her? Emma's voice trembled slightly, though she fought to keep it steady. You were confused. Does that mean everything we built, everything we shared, meant nothing to you? William flinched, as if her words physically hurt him. No, Emma, it didn't mean nothing. You meant everything to me. But I wasn't honest with myself, and I wasn't honest with you. The words hung heavy in the air between them. Emma stared at him, trying to read his face, to see if he was telling the truth. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape the feeling that something was still missing, something that he wasn't telling her. Why did you even let it go this far? She asked, her voice quieter now, the shock of his confession settling into a cold anger. Why did you keep seeing her, knowing what it would do to us? William's eyes filled with regret, his shoulders slumping as though the weight of it all had finally broken him. I don't know, he whispered. I was selfish. I thought I could fix everything on my own, that I could control it, that maybe if I just tried hard enough, it would all go away. But it didn't, and I hurt you in the process. Emma swallowed hard, her throat dry, as she tried to hold back the tears that threatened to fall. She had spent so many sleepless nights trying to make sense of it all, trying to understand why it had to be this way. And now, hearing him say these words, it didn't make it better. It didn't make the pain go away. It hurts, William, she finally said, her voice breaking. It hurts so much. The lies, the secrecy, the way you made me doubt everything we had. How am I supposed to trust you again? How can I believe anything you say now? He stepped closer, his expression pleading. I know I don't deserve your trust, Emma, but please, let me show you that I'm not that man anymore. I've realized that you're the one I want. You always have been. Olivia, it was a mistake, a stupid, selfish mistake, but it's over. I swear to you, I'm done with her. Emma felt a lump form in her throat as she looked at him, the desperation in his eyes, the rawness of his admission. It was hard to ignore. But how could she forgive him so easily? How could she simply forget everything that had happened? The way he had shattered the trust they had worked so hard to build. I don't know if I can just let it go, William, she whispered. I don't know if I can forget what you did. He nodded slowly, taking a step back. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want you to know that I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I don't want to lose you. Emma's heart ached as she looked at him, torn between the past they had shared and the painful reality of what he had done. She thought of everything they had built, the plans for the future, the quiet moments of joy, the way he had held her when she was scared. She thought of their love, and for a moment, it seemed so simple, so pure. But then she remembered the tears, the sleepless nights, the endless questioning. The betrayal was too fresh, too deep. William, I don't know if we can ever go back, she said softly, her voice trembling as the weight of her decision settled in. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. His face fell, the hope in his eyes fading. Please, Emma, give me a chance. I'll prove to you that I can be the man you deserve. But Emma shook her head, her heart heavy with the realization that sometimes love wasn't enough. I need time, William. I need to figure out if I can even look at you the same way again. I can't promise you anything. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The city around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in their own quiet world of pain and confusion. Finally, William turned away, his shoulders sagging with defeat. I'll give you time, he said quietly. But please, don't shut me out completely. Emma watched him walk away, her chest tight with a mixture of sorrow and relief. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was taking control of her own life. It wasn't about forgiveness, not yet. It was about finding herself again, about rebuilding the trust she had lost, and deciding what she truly wanted. And that, Emma realized, was the hardest choice of all.